And a very good morning to you, or a good afternoon, or a good evening, wherever you are in the world right now. Welcome to Shenzhen in China with myself here and QXC alongside me. We're here to preview our first match of the day. Our quarterfinals get underway today, and tomorrow we'll have the semi-finals and the grand final of our first stop of the brand new Intel Extreme Masters season. Kevin, how you doing?
Doing good, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm rested.
I saw you playing some mobile games out on the stage.
Yeah, I played some, I don't know
you
what...
wrecked.
I don't know what it's called, but I dominated Susie in this racing game. The first, so it's like a score-based game. The first game I had like 200,000, didn't know how to play.
Yeah.
Then I got up to 600,000, then
Really?
700,000. They told me I had to stop.
Really? You're going to break the game?
They were like, QXC, we are running out of time. We cannot wait for you to lose. We need you to just get up and leave. And I know, right? I think I'm going to switch.
That's it. That's it. You're done?
Yeah.
No more StarCraft?
Yeah, I mean...
Racing games are for you.
That's 700,000 points?
Man after my own heart.
That seems...
Brilliant.
I was so close to 1 million, and from there, sky's the limit.
It's a good job they aren't WCS points, because otherwise, well, you'd already be at BlizzCon.
Yeah, I'd be at BlizzCon like 6 or 7 times.
Yeah, in a row. Enough of the nonsense. Let's look back on our top 16 players. We have, of course, had 4 days, day 4 today, of action here at StarCraft 2, and of course on Hearthstone as well. That finished up yesterday. Today and tomorrow, though, we're going to concentrate on StarCraft 2, which I'm sure you'll be pleased to know. There's our 4 groups. Group A, Zest and San going through in that one. Group B, Innovation and Snoot, the European, making his way through a group of 3 Koreans. We don't say that very often. And in Group C, Solar and Jaedong knocking out Puck and a Liquid Hero, a bit of a casualty in Group C. And then finally, yesterday in Group D, Jim coming through with TaeJa in what I would call the group of death, with MMA and Life going out. We don't.
Yep.
How often do you say MMA and Life got eliminated from a group? That's tough.
One thing also that graphic does not really tell you is that in Group D, Jim and TaeJa advanced. Jim got first place.
Yeah,
right?
He did. Yep.
You see, you're like, oh, Jim, TaeJa, like, yeah, TaeJa went through, and then Jim, cleaned up. Jim crushed everyone in that group. Went on to take first place. And we can actually see that result on the screen right now. Jim defeating Life in the very beginning, and then 2-0ing TaeJa, who was on such a tear starting with, well, not starting with, but I guess most recently at DreamHack Summer, and all of a sudden, TaeJa's having some real trouble, particularly against Protoss players.
Yeah, which is unusual in the summer, because he's
summer of TaeJa.
He's usually very good during the hot months of the year, but seemingly not so much on his opening gambit in the group stages. We'll see how he gets on today, because we're going to move on to the quarterfinals. There are just 8 players remaining now, and we'll start off with TaeJa. He'll go head-to-head with the GSL champion of Season 1 and the global GSL champion, Zest. That's our first match. We'll move on to Snoot versus Jaedong. Looking forward to that one. ZVZ.
Yep.
And I know Snoot's looking forward to that as well. He's very happy with the draw.
When I asked Snoot that, he said best case scenario. There was literally no other person he would have rather played in the round of 8.
Very, very happy with that one. Jim versus San on the bottom half of the bracket. That's also going to be a cracking game as well. And then we'll finish off with Solar versus Innovation. I'm really interested, because we don't see Solar all that much outside of Korea, outside of Pro League. So it's really cool to see him playing as well. And Innovation, well, he's Innovation, so... Yeah,
and Innovation has been doing exceptionally well recently. He topped his group here at the Intel Extreme Masters, Shenzhen. But he's going against Solar, who's a little bit of a... Innovation more of an international player now, and Solar very much a Korean player. I don't know how much they've really met each other in recent times.
Not much at all, no. Yeah. But we're going to start off with our first game of the day. It's going to be Zest versus TaeJa. It's a real clash, this one, Kev, because... In a weird way, you've got a guy who, before this year, really, people knew who Zest was, but when he came into GSL this year, Season 1, and he's champion, then he goes to the Global Championship, champion again, and suddenly we're talking about a 2-time GSL champion. That's up there with the likes of MC, and you just start to go, whoa, hold on a minute, this is a bit of a superstar.
Yeah.
But it's been a very recent occurrence for him. Why do you think that is?
I mean, there's a whole lot of reasons why a player does well or does poorly, and sometimes everything just clicks. You put a lot of time into the game. A lot of players are always putting time into it. But just getting those little details right, making your practice just that little bit more efficient. He's figured something out. He knows how to play tournaments a little bit better. He knows how to meta his opponents. And he's going up against an even more experienced veteran in TaeJa, who, if you asked me a month ago, I'd say TaeJa takes it no problem. But all of a sudden, TaeJa is showing some real weaknesses.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, as well, for Zest, it kind of reminds me a bit of Deer last year in Season 3. Sort of, And he was in Challenger Season 2, he came through and then he wins, and then he goes off to the Globals and he wins, and you're just like, whoa, hold on a minute, where's this kid come from? He's come from nowhere all of a sudden, suddenly he's the best Protoss on the planet. Zest almost feels a bit like that in a way, but he had a much better background to him.
Yeah, well, Zest has a long-time Kespa Korean. He's been practicing for however long he's been practicing. And this may be just the next tournament in line for his reign of terror in this year. But if someone's going to stop him, I don't know if it's going to be TaeJa right now.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned he has a bit of a problem with the matchup right now.
Yeah,
he's struggling in it. What are you doing? You're a Terran. What are you doing against these pesky Protoss players?
Well, I don't know, man. Let's talk a little bit.
I'm looking for some advice.
I'd rather talk a little bit about. So I watched TaeJa versus Jim yesterday.
Yes.
From TaeJa's perspective, and I felt like TaeJa has kind of stopped believing in himself.
Yeah, I was going to ask you actually, is this mental for him? Because we know he can play the matchup. We've seen the builds that he's used in the past. Is this now mental for him?
I think maybe what's been happening is TaeJa's been having so much trouble against Protoss here and there compared to his other matchups that he's kind of started to lose faith in some of his builds, some of his strategies. I noticed when he played against Jim, he went for the same strategy in both games, gas first, Marine Hellion, Elevator, with one Widow Mine, whatever, and it's a very long one-base play. And it makes a lot of sense if you expect your opponent to be playing risky or greedy. But Jim opened with the most standard, safe, normal build, just Nexus, Mothership Core, Stalker. He was totally safe against this. And after the first game, when it didn't work, TaeJa's so far behind his command center, so far behind Jim's Nexus. And then in the second game, he went for the exact same strategy. And to me, that feels like he's one-basing because his other builds just don't work. He's like, I know that this one-base build is very risky. I know that in a lot of situations it doesn't work, but I'm going to do it anyway because I feel like it's the best thing I've got. And to me, that really strikes as a lack of confidence. Okay.
Overgrowth and merry-go-round yesterday against Jim.
Yep.
Do you feel like maps have made a difference recently? I mean, the new map pool obviously for Season 3 is different again, but let's talk about Season 2 right now, which is what we're talking about, those type of maps, Overgrowth and merry-go-round both came in Season 2. Do you think that's hurt TaeJa?
I don't think so. Some of the maps in Season 2 were perhaps uncomfortable, like Alterzim. Very few people ever actually wanted to play it.
Did you ever play it in a tournament?
Yeah.
Did you?
Sometimes you get forced to play it.
People come over and bend your arm around behind your back and say, you have to play it now, Kev.
They're like, it happens, but try to avoid it. As far as, I think Overgrowth and Merry-Go-Round are both pretty standard, pretty normal maps.
Right.
Each race has its own advantages, its own weaknesses, but I don't think that's really what's going on with TaeJa.
Okay, well, we'll find out whether he can get over the mental block, because the first quarterfinal of the day is almost upon us. Thank you, Kev. We'll talk to you at the end of the game. But now let's go over to the commentary team for game number 1 of the day. It's Kalaris and Apollo.
Some of us a little bit longer than others as we now get into the round of 8. We have a fantastic round of 8. I'm very, very pleased to see the bracket coming here. Looks fantastic. And then we open things up with this game.
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, the top 8 that we have at the Intel Extreme Masters is one of the best top 8s that a big tournament like this has seen in a very, very long time. And, talking more specifically about TaeJa versus Zest now, for me, this is a massive highlight game. Yeah. Finally, we get to see TaeJa, who's been king of international tournaments, go up against one of the best Kespa players there is right now, because this, in the community, has been one of the biggest talking points for a long time. When are we going to see TaeJa tackle a big Kespa player? When is he going to be able to go over to Korea, play in Code S? When is he going to do that? When is he going to do this? But now, finally, at this tournament, we actually get to see that. If you think about TaeJa's recent tournaments at Home Story Cup, he played MC. Is MC the same as these Kespa players? Not really.
No.
If you think about it, DreamHack 1v1, he played against Liquid Hero, not quite on the same level as these kind of guys. And the players before that, you usually see TaeJa play against Jadong or Patience or some of the European Koreans that we have adopted more recently. But Zest! It's Zest. He's like the best Protoss for me right now. He's good at everything. For me, he's a better version of Rain. He's as good defensively as Rain is, but he's more aggressive than Rain is, and he has other attributes that make him a stronger and better player. For me, a lot of people's probably expecting TaeJa to do well here, but I'm looking at Zest. This is going to be a good game for Zest. I think he can win this.
There's so many dynamics that come into play. Not only what you're saying there, but also Zest, for the most part, during his GSL runs, hasn't really had to play against a huge amount of Terrans.
Yeah.
So that's quite interesting to see how that's going to play out as well. But by no means, by no stretch of the imagination, is he bad at this matchup at all. This guy is so solid when it comes to his play. And then on the other side, we have TaeJa, the guy in the international scene that has been dominating, as well as you've mentioned. You've even cast some of the tournaments which he's dominated.
He went 17-0 at DreamHack Summer, but as good as that is and as awesome and as cool as everybody wants to be able to do that themselves, he hasn't run into the big dogs from Korea recently. And this is the moment. This is what I'm really, really excited for now, to see TaeJa go up against Zest. TaeJa's looked a little bit weak in this tournament. He narrowly won against Life. He lost versus Jim. So now you've got to be questioning, is TaeJa going to be able to defeat Zest? I noticed when watching them play yesterday, I was posting pictures, watching from behind them, TaeJa's having a lot of problems with his wrists. When he was playing against Life, he was stretching them out in between every moment he could. If there was a pause, he was stretching them in between games. He was stretching them. He definitely was feeling the pain, and I even spoke to him about it. And that is an injury. It is an injury. It's an esports injury that he has currently. Whereas Zest, the guy in KT Rolster, he's their player, he's their best, he's on fire, he's won a GSL this year, as Paul mentioned, he's won that global championship, he's on fire. Both players have won 2 tournaments in the last couple of months, but one player just stands out much more than the other.
All right, well, we're getting into it. Game number 1 is going to be on Nimbus to start things off between Zest and TaeJa. And again, what a way to open up the round of 8. The round of 8 in general is fantastic, but Zest versus TaeJa, I agree. It's one of the highlight matches here for sure.
Everybody wanted this to be a potential final, to get TaeJa on one side of the bracket to go through, to finally go up against Zest in the final. Because that's, if you look at the terms of results and how these players are playing recently, these are the 2 players you'd be expecting to shoot for that grand final out of the top 8 that we have. But they meet in the quarterfinals.
All right, well, let's get into it. As we have spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner are Red Protoss. Representing KT Rolster, it's Zest. And down to the bottom left-hand corner are Blue Terran. Representing Team Liquid, as always, it's TaeJa.
And for the first time today, in many a tournament that I've been to where TaeJa's been around, he was nervous today.
Yeah?
He was definitely feeling it today. He knows that he's going up against the favorite to win the entire tournament. If you think about the other players in this, Snoot, Jaedong, Jim and San, Solar and Innovation, as good as Innovation's playing right now, Zest is the favorite for the tournament.
Yeah.
And now TaeJa must go up against what he has been avoiding, but has been avoiding, if that makes sense. He hasn't been like, I don't want to play these guys, I'm going to go to the tournaments where they're not at. It's just he just doesn't get the chance to play against these big Kesper players very often. And here we have it. Yeah.
And if you think about the comparison of Zest a year ago to Zest now, we saw Zest do so well in qualifiers, get to the main tournament in the Intel Extreme Masters, then kind of bomb out, really not do a whole lot. But since then, Zest has taken on a whole new life of its own. He has risen through the ranks. He has proved himself time and time again. And I am not surprised in the slightest that TaeJa is scared here, because Zest is so formidable.
Yeah, this is going to be absolutely amazing. Really looking forward to this, to see who's going to be able to come out on top. TaeJa, oh sorry, not TaeJa, Zest did play against Jack G. Jack G played a fantastic game to take a map away from Zest yesterday. Very, very impressive from Jack G, but Zest did come out on top. And just to note on how the series played out, the longer the game goes, the higher and higher the probability that Zest is going to win.
Yeah,
it's that simple. Everybody knows in Protoss versus Terran that Protoss find it easier the longer the game goes. Then add that on top when you have a player like Zest. TaeJa's going to have to either play the best Terran versus Protoss we've ever seen, or he's going to have to try to finish it in the mid-game.
Yeah, it's truly a winning combination for a guy like Zest, that's true. And, well, as these builds shape up, we have Command Center first for TaeJa into Barracks and then Gas. And then from on the other side of things, Zest was building himself a nice little wall just in case any kind of Reaper player was coming along.
Yeah.
And then eventually we'll get this going. But this pylon up to the top is quite interesting, just to be able to eventually scout out, I guess. But obviously, this being Nimbus with this back base that you've got, it's always nice to get a bit more of an economical opening, and TaeJa did well with that.
And TaeJa's, just Command Center first, straight up there, not looking towards a Reaper, not really looking about trying to figure out what Zest is going to do. Zest doesn't really play that tricky. He plays safe, he plays solid. I'd be expecting him to be going for robotics facility, especially considering the way that TaeJa's played out this tournament against Protoss already. He played gas first twice against Jim. Very aggressive openings, and he's completely switched it up here. And in tournaments like this, when you don't have a lot of time to prepare builds for your opponent, the only thing you can prepare for is just know what builds they've used against your race before meeting your opponent right now. So Zest, knowing that TaeJa's open up gas first, he's going to be playing a bit more conservative, I would imagine. Zest plays defensive, therefore has opened up for this economy-focused build.
Yeah, it's always nice to try and exploit your opponent like that, that's true. Although, that being said, Bunker's going to go down at the front here for TaeJa, just to make sure he's careful and cautious about everything going on.
Whoop.
And gets a little bit of a scout in.
Yeah, this is a brilliant scout there.
Yeah.
So, considering that the weakness of Command Center first is that you don't have a reaping, you can't scout what your opponent's doing, he gets the Command Center first, which is down and good. But he also gets the scouting information too, which sees the robotics facility, so he knows that there's no form of all incoming. He knows that he's completely safe, and he knows what he expected Zest to play like. Conservative.
Yep. So Zest from here on out will probably just end up adding on maybe a few observers to keep an eye on the perimeter of his bases, making sure that everything's careful there. And wow, even TaeJa being so efficient about where he puts his supply depots right next to mineral lines so he can get right back to things.
Yeah, and look at this with TaeJa. He's actually gone up towards a factory pretty fast here, and he's got a Widow Mine in play. The Widow Mine here can play very defensive at this point. There is no starport, so it's not like he's going to be able to ferry that over towards this natural location. And this is definitely tug of war type play from TaeJa, where you can drop one location and push the other.
And it's got to be. I mean, if you're going to beat a guy like Zest, you're going to have to test his multitasking to the limits. TaeJa can do that, of course, but a guy like Zest who's able to lock down, especially with the observers now positioning themselves, getting into play, it's going to be difficult to break. And look, I mean, that observer production is not stopping. It's just continuing on until that Robo Bay is up so that you can get that Colossus out eventually.
Yeah, so quite standardized builds from both players here. Really normal. The only one thing that's slightly different is TaeJa's conservative effort with the Widow Mine here. That's the only thing that's really a little bit different. But the Observer's going to enter now. And for the first time in this game, Zest is going to get some information. He's been completely in the dark until now, and he sees that this is quite a standardized opening here from TaeJa. 2 barracks up towards that starport. 3rd barrack's been added on. Engineering bay down already. And from this point on, Zest is just going to be making sure that within the next couple of minutes when these medivacs are out, he does not take damage. So 3 observers are out for him.
Run away. That was a good angle to enter from with the observer as well, just in case there was like a missile turret at the very front, just in case it would be taken down. Double forge.
Yeah, so this is going to be a super defensive game coming out from Zest here. He's going to be a little bit low on units, so he really needs to know exactly where TaeJa is at all times. Double forge going to be great for the longer the game goes on. Obviously, at this point, Blink's going to be a great addition to prevent the drops from happening, but he's got to be on top of where TaeJa's army movement is. Has to prevent this, because the one thing that you get from Double Forge and Blink, obviously, is fantastic upgrades, and the longer the game goes, the better you are. But look at his unit count. It's probably minimal. He probably has like hardly any units. 3 Stalkers, that's it. No Sentries, no Zealots. 3 Stalkers and a Colossus. That's it. That is not a lot of units.
Totally relying on the Colossus to come out in time. That's certainly true. And
but it could get, you know, as I've said, or I've heard many of my American friends say, that Colossus could get bum rushed.
Wow. Okay. Okay. That's quite the that's quite the phrase. But he actually even sees.
Yeah, he sees it. Photon overcharge should be ready. Stalkers. He's not even looking to catch the medivacs. He's like, don't even think about it.
Yeah.
I don't have any units, so don't even think about it.
Get away from me.
Now this is obviously risky down this side. That Colossus gets caught, TaeJa will jump on it.
Yeah. But he has, like, even that observer itself there, just in case they were to come across, sweep across, he would know that it's there. Will TaeJa find this? Looks like no. Doesn't drop the scan to catch that at all, but he's going to try and poke in from multiple angles.
Blink is done now, I think, or at least close to being done. 1 force field to block off there. Now close to being done.
Those rocks helping out quite a bit for now.
But TaeJa's not investing too much into being super aggressive. It's minimal amounts of units. He's got a 3rd command center down already. He's got extra barracks coming in, so his macro is phenomenal once again.
Yeah. 1 observer down, so that does alleviate a little bit of the perimeter there from TaeJa to try and enter in. But aside from that, there's not going to be too many holes, I don't think. I mean, the Stalkers are always going to be at the back up until the point where that third comes up. The army's always going to be at the front with the Colossi and Sentries and Zealots. So I don't think TaeJa's going to find too much pressure points here.
No, and you can pretty much say this has been a perfect game so far from Zest. No mistakes, everything's clean. 2-2 upgrades are going to start very shortly.
Yeah.
He has got thermal lats here, so he actually needs to preserve a bit of gas, and there you do see. 2-2 upgrades is going to start. Perfect from Zest. No supply blocks, units in position, observers in position. Pylon out on the other side of the map, I think that is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everything's perfect right now. And TaeJa, if he doesn't find a weakness, if he doesn't find a spot where he can slow down Zest, this is going to be very difficult for him to get in with a good fight.
Likewise, though, I think it was good that TaeJa ultimately realized how good a player Zest is, had that third command center down at rapid, pace to get that third up and running.
No, you're actually really right with that. If TaeJa committed more towards aggression rather than that third command center and didn't get damage done, he would actually be behind at this point.
Yeah.
But because he has focused very much so on his macro and his army supply and his economy, he's actually in not bad shape at all. He's, he hasn't lost anything himself. He's been able to move forward at quite a good rate as well.
And his upgrades aren't terribly going on compared to the 2-2. Of course, with double Forge and double Chrono Boost going into that early, Zest focusing on that so heavily because he knows how important those upgrades are. TaeJa is still, trying to keep up. Photon Overcharge will push that away, and the Stalker's just leering on the edge there to make sure to try and jump in, but they weren't even full, so that was just kind of a bait out. That was quite intelligent.
The Viking count, though, getting high. It's a little bit of a concern potentially here from Zest. He's got to increase his Stalker count to be able to combat that. There's no time to switch. There's no money to switch into Templar Archives, especially if you're looking at getting 3-3. He hasn't even got the gases on his third, as we can see. So he will need to build more Stalkers. He needs to get rid of the Vikings, but a potential big move coming in from TaeJa here. 4 Medivacs full. Zest spots it, though, again. Stalkers should be ready to pounce.
Yeah.
And this is definitely a trap moment for Zest. He's got to get ready to pounce on this.
He knows it's
Here
right there.
we go.
Uh-oh. With that cannon there as well, and he actually goes for instantly ripping that first one out of the sky. He's got to be so careful, does TaeJa, about this. He has to know that Zest is going to be recovering the count of the observers to be able to check all these kinds of things.
And now 2-2's done. 3-3 should be starting immediately here for Zest, and continues to play a perfect game. This is absolutely crazy from Zest. Even though he's hardly done anything, his defense is incredible. It's solid, it's clean. Everything's working out wonderful for him right now. TaeJa's still struggling to find a weakness. He can't find a hole.
Yeah, he's heading on Ghosts now, so his kind of army composition is becoming a little bit more all-round, but Zest sees everything that's going on in his opponent's army composition, so he knows exactly what he's got to expect, and he even catches this small army on the right-hand side, so he knows that there is the potential threat of his third base being attacked. So he's maneuvering himself in such a way to say there is no way you can actually do anything there.
There's no timings to hit. There is no way that you can move in with an attack and just kill him. That is not the case in this game. This has been too solid of a game from both players.
Yeah.
This will need to be a long macro game. It will need to be engagement of fully equipped Protoss army, Storm eventually. For now, it'll be 3-3 in a heavy Gateway Colossus-focused army. And TaeJa has to get the Vikings right. He has to get the EMPs right. He needs to be spread thin. And he has to take a good engagement. That's the only way this game can be decided.
Yeah, and he needed his upgrades there as well. And despite what we were saying earlier about them being all right, 3-3 is rapidly approaching.
Yeah.
And there's still Chrono Boosts going into those from Zest, who knows that if he's maxed out with 3-3, his army is going to be extremely lethal.
6 Colossus, a 7th on the way.
Jeez.
To be able to get these Colossus down before they just destroy everything else is going to be hard.
Against
really
12
difficult.
Vikings.
Yeah.
12 Vikings? I'm not sure that's enough. If the Stalkers kill off even just a few of those before they're able to do their job, I don't know how he actually is able to take it.
The one thing that you can always prey on at this point is if you EMP a lot of the gateway units, clear out the gateway units because there's not that much of them, and then spread out, and hopefully the buffer for the Colossus is gone where you can just kill it with whatever you have left over. But it's going to be a hard fight for sure. 3-3 approaching in. That may be, as Funk is showing us, maybe the thing that TaeJa needs is that cloak on the Ghosts.
And there isn't an observer with the army. There is not an observer with the army right now.
This may be the right thing that he could get.
Yeah. 2 of them. Obviously, that cannon, the photon cannon, provides a little bit of coverage there if he's in a defensive posture. But outside of that, with the Templar Archives only going down now, I think that Zest's probably anticipating the idea of continuing dragging this on, just taking his 4th base, making sure his tech is all there. Because technically, the Templar Archives is kind of late here.
Yeah, it is late. It is late, but that's because he focused on such a different army.
Yeah, with the focus on the Colossi.
Yeah.
And it's a scary thing to deal with.
All right, 4th base down, 7 Colossus to 15 Vikings here. And a couple of Marines just going to get wasted. And of course, he does not need Marines at this point there.
So many Vikings.
Pretty crappy, to be honest. It's all about Vikings, all about Ghosts at this point.
If he had it on a lot of gateways and those Vikings eventually do their job and he remaxes with pure gateway.
What is the gateway count?
He just
Bunker?
2 more, and then...
How many? I can't see. Okay, it's about
it's being blocked.
13, 14.
Okay, not a huge amount.
Yeah, it should be a little bit higher. It's okay, it's around 14. Yeah, it definitely could be a little bit higher at this point, but we may see that first fight here. He's looking for the observers.
Yeah, I don't think he sees any. We still only have 2. They're still out on the field. One in the middle, one down to the south to catch any drops. Nuke is on the way.
There are cannons.
Yeah, the cannons will help a lot. With a nuke on the way, though, he could stall this out. He could push him back. And he's going to try and snipe out a little bit of this.
Yeah, he's going to cut. He's going to cut that 3rd to 4th line off.
That's good, actually.
Yeah, this is good. He can turn around EMP and fight here.
Basically starts cutting off the limbs of Zest.
Yeah, this is a good move from TaeJa. Just nice and clean, just straight through the middle there.
Yeah. And he doesn't...
Oh, Mothership Core gone. That's not so good.
Has to outmaneuver this army. He sees where it is. He's a little bit trapped here. He's going to have to engage. He has to go for the blink forwards with the Stalkers to start this off. A few of the Ghosts at the front get completely roasted up, but Cloak has now initiated. Zest instantly realized that he didn't have an observer with the army, brings one back into the fray. The Vikings have done the job they needed to do, and Zest plummeted in terms of supply. Does he have enough gateways to deal with this?
Look at those Ghosts.
They did so much without the observer there.
Ghosts just, yeah, look at it. The MVPs of this game, those guys.
Wow.
And now Zest is in trouble. That was a great fight from TaeJa and exactly what he wanted.
And as I said, Zest realized very quickly into that fight that there wasn't an observer there, but still wasn't able to get it over there in time. Now, though, the Zealots with that 3-3 able to do a lot here, pushing up against that, but still, he loses a lot of his army. TaeJa, with his maneuverability...
75 army supply to 21. TaeJa's gone toe-to-toe with one of the best players, one of the best Protoss players, and he's come out on top in the fight.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that we don't see very often. If you think about all the GSL games, all the Pro League games, when a Protoss at that level gets to this point, they don't lose. They don't mess up a fight. But TaeJa's out on top, and he's got a big lead in this game to start this best-of-5 off.
Wow, if it can kill off this base, that would be quite nice. He does do a little bit of damage to the economy line, at least. Pulling on back now. Needs to save a little chunk of his army here. Against only gateway units, it's going to be very, very difficult for Zest to really do anything.
Zest has no money.
Yeah.
With TaeJa killing that 4th, remember, before, and TaeJa being able to keep his 4th. Look at it, there's streams of units coming out from TaeJa. Zest is plummeting, and because he doesn't have the money, he's not going to be able to keep up with TaeJa.
Wow. TaeJa evaluated that engagement really nicely. The scans beforehand to spot what was actually going on in that army composition and realizing that there was no observer there. I mean, how well... That could have gone completely different if there was an observer there for Zest. The Ghost could have been hit by the Colossi, but now TaeJa knows how far he is ahead. He drops the scan on the 4th, knows that it's still not there, and he's taking a 5th base towards his opponent, being so aggressive. Here comes the nuke as well. EMPs, GG, get out the game. Oh my God, TaeJa.
Hey. And now the worry's gone.
Oh, yeah.
He was so nervous coming into this, and he says, guess for players, yeah, everyone's all about hype, but I'm TaeJa. And
wow.
He does just... That's like breaking the ice.
Yeah.
When you're on a date. It's like breaking the ice on a date, Colaris. He goes in, he's nervous, and he pulls a cheesy one-liner, and she giggles, and TaeJa's like, you are mine!
That's so true. Really, really impressive play, but I have to consider what would have happened if there had been an observer in that army. Maybe the Ghost would have died off a bit quicker. The Vikings, to be fair to them, did their job splendidly. They got done what they needed to do, bringing down that Colossi count. So Zest now might be a little bit rattled. He played a really strong defensive game. He wasn't really weak at any point, but TaeJa knew what was going on, which is the important thing.
Yeah, this is a brilliant play from both sides there. High-level play. Maybe the heavy focus on Colossus may not have worked out as well for Zest as he'd hoped. The delayed Templar Archives, no Storm, nothing there.
Yeah.
Obviously, you need to have both of those upgrades together to get the ultimate Protoss army. But we'll see how Zest is going to adapt and evolve into this series. It is a best-of-5 now in the quarterfinals, so we'll see.
All right, game number 2 then. Merry-go-round will be our map. Spawning up to the top left, we have our red Protoss. 1 game down at the moment. It is KT Rolster's Zest. And down to the south, we have our blue Terran doing well in game number 1. Can he continue it? It is Liquid TaeJa.
All right, that was, by the way, Zest's map choice, the previous one. I do have them in front of me. Zest chose Nimbus, TaeJa chose Merry-Go-Round. The vetoes, for anyone that is interested, TaeJa got rid of King Sejong Station, and Zest got rid of Catalina.
TaeJa shaking his wrist there a little bit.
Yeah, definitely something to keep at the back of your mind, really, throughout this tournament is, as much as TaeJa is still capable of winning with his wrists and the problem that he has in them, it definitely affects his performance. He was definitely moaning a little bit about it yesterday. Definitely felt the pain.
Yeah, one can only imagine what he would be like if his wrists were fine and in good condition. It's a scary thought because of how good I mean, he just took a very convincing game off Zest. It doesn't get much better than that.
All right, so pressure's on Zest now. Came into this probably with the momentum. Definitely came into this with the momentum, no doubt, actually. He's the guy who's won GSL this year. So we'll see how this is going to adapt throughout. TaeJa's changed his build-up already here, so he's taken not a fast gas. It's I don't think it's a 12 gas. It was a little bit later, I think. So we'll see where he's going to go from this. He may be looking for quite a fast reactor after a Marine or two and to a factory play.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, but I think that this map is, to be fair, not exactly the most amazing map for Zest either. When it comes to taking the third base, and how if you consider how TaeJa played the first map, and Zest has to delay his third base because of the position that TaeJa puts himself in with his with his barracks force. Taking that third is very, very open for Zest. Yeah,
it's not the best map for sure. It's why TaeJa chose it second here, to try and gain a small advantage when it comes to the map order. Protoss players don't like this as much. So it is a Marine into Reactor here from TaeJa, and he will be getting his command center down shortly.
Steady as she goes. Steady as she goes. Nexus being added on for Zest as well. I always like the initial, the second pylon that Zest throws down near the ramp.
TaeJa blocking the gas.
Cheeky guy.
Yeah, just delaying it by a little bit.
You actually don't see too many people doing that nowadays, but just positioning that SCV right there, blocking it. It's very, very nice.
All right, so Barracks follow-up from TaeJa. He did take out a gas inside his main, and he's going to go towards regular play, but of course Zest does not know that. And it's really something that I don't think is highlighted enough when watching StarCraft, is that if you actually watch these guys play from behind or you play StarCraft yourself, information is everything. And if you think about what Zest has seen in this game, is nothing. And then if you're sitting behind him, this is what he sees all the time.
Yeah.
He's got no idea what the hell could be happening here. Could be gas first, could be, command center first. He's no information at all. So it is important to keep these kind of things in thought.
Yeah, it's one reason why that wall always goes down for Protoss at the very beginning of the game. They haven't seen anything. There is always the potential of that Reaper opening coming out, build a little bit of a wall, deny it from having a bit of maneuverability around the back of the mineral line, for example. Small things in these games do make a big difference.
I do like the early engineering bay here. I do like the faster upgrades from TaeJa. Delays his stim a little bit, but it's always good to kind of push out with 1-1 more so than just +1 attack. You get both upgrades if you get the engineering bay this faster. You do cut into the production as well, having or not having the third barracks, which is the sacrifice you have. But we have the robotics facility once again by Zest. And straight into observer production, and then is scanned this time by TaeJa, as he didn't get that SCV in 2C.
Yep, sees everything that's going on right now, so not too much to take away from it other than seeing the robo.
Wait, did Zest forget Warpgate research?
Ooh,
oh, what?
Uh-oh.
What?
Zest.
I was just looking. I was looking through the scan, and I was like, wait a minute, the Cybercore isn't researching anything. And I'm like, this is too fast for it to finish.
He's going to go to warp in something soon and be like, wait a minute.
Oh, Jesus.
He's going to have to rely on the Colossus and these 3 Stalkers again.
And the funny thing is, you aren't going to focus on Warpgate research until you get the extra gateways down, because you don't even need units right now, so you don't need to warp in anything. You're not even thinking about it.
It's going to be so late.
There, it just starts now.
I'm sure he must have gone to warp something in.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. He can always build from the gateways, chrono boosting into the cyber core, and you should never have to do that at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Oh, Zest, a bit of a trip up.
Yeah.
Bit of a trip up. At least he has the Robo Bay down so that he can get that first Colossus out quite quickly here with the 3 Stalkers, but still, this slows down the additional sentry that he would have normally wanted to be with that at the front for the Colossus that we saw in the previous game. Of course, it works better on Nimbus than here because of the ramp size, but it's by the by.
I mean, you can look at it and say that I don't think it'll affect him that much. The biggest impact that it'll have is that he's had to waste 2-3 Chrono Boosts on a Cybercore when it shouldn't have to be like that.
Exactly. And TaeJa doesn't exactly know that Warp Gate is delayed behind all of this.
Yeah.
So 5 gateways. 5 gate. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That was more than I was expecting.
Yeah, there's a lot of gateways coming out here. You can't really build anything, he's having to build from it.
And no forges though still, right?
Yeah, no forges in play.
So I think he's just going to go.
It looks like it at the moment.
Yeah. 2 extra sentries being added on here to try and hold this off. That's a lot of force at the front. Photon Overcharge is going to have to be activated here, and indeed it does. He's actually wanting to try and get on top of that Colossus. If he loses that Colossus, do not... Oh, and he didn't for the cost of all of the army.
One Stalker for all that army.
Oh, geez. That was a very cost-efficient trade there for Zest.
Oopsie daisy. Yeah, that's not good. That's given Zest a bit of a... I mean, that will... If he didn't have plans to attack already, he will now, for sure. There's the Pylon, there's a probe. He just killed off a lot of TaeJa's army.
Yeah, well, but the thing is that when TaeJa pushed in during all of that, he saw those gateways behind that Colossus, right? So he has to anticipate something. Those 2 extra gateways, the timing that they're at, it's not the most common of...
Yeah, but you could have had double forge behind that or something.
True.
Or you could have, delayed the gateways a lot. Protoss players like to play greedy.
Especially since he only saw 3 Stalkers, right? Because Warp Gate was actually
he's warping it through sentries. He's going to catch that army. He can catch that army in the middle, or he can either go back for it or he can just push forward knowing that the army isn't there defending. Either way, this is a beautiful position for Zest.
Yeah, this is very good. Very, very good. TaeJa now actually has just no clue that this army is all the way out here. That's 2 Colossi with Thermal Lance, with sentries.
Yeah, this is...
going to be kicking himself here.
This is almost game over right now. TaeJa's in so much trouble.
Yeah. What a bizarre game number 2, but that's how the cookie crumbles.
All right, so if these units from behind come back and stim and kill the Colossus, that's one way TaeJa can take a good fight here, but as you can see, it's not going to be easy.
There's so much energy on the sentries as well to try and force field things off, even if they did come in from the back, so it's going to be very, very difficult. Those 2 Colossi going to work thoroughly here on those SCVs, and just very patient force fields blocks that off. And, gets a bit of damage on that first Colossus. Micros it back nicely, but should be able to keep these alive. One will die on the left-hand side, and the Bio on the right, though. Will actually, they're actually going to get that Colossus. I can't believe he's cleaned that up, but he lost so much in return. Yeah,
I mean, he's lost a lot of SCVs here, but this is a good defense from TaeJa, considering he's got a Viking out too. 2 Vikings.
Is he? No. Okay, so he's actually going to get another Colossus, which is
and the
ridiculous.
Mothership Core. And the Mothership Core.
What the...
And he's microing these units well. He's going to clean up these Stalkers too.
That went as good as it was going to get for TaeJa. Absolutely.
Whoa.
Considering his position out in the middle. And now Zest warping in aggressively, but he has to be careful. He can't do that.
Basic gateway units. And TaeJa has upgrades on these Bio, remember.
What the... okay, 24 workers to 43.
Wow.
No Colossi on the field. 1 still in production. But TaeJa holds on, and if he can just continues muling at his natural, I think he can kind of try and keep up a little bit.
Oh, boy.
The Forge goes down now. Zest I can't believe that didn't work.
He hasn't got a Mothership Core. He's got Stalkers alone. This is more than enough Stalkers to actually clear with this. He's got to get everything else over that, actually.
Yeah.
Want to be careful not to lose those units, but wow.
Not a huge amount of reinforcement power there.
I really thought TaeJa was dead there. He's actually pulling SCVs to try and finish this off.
I mean, he knows he's lost a lot.
Zest sees it.
Oh, jeez.
He's got to be ready to defend this. He's got a Colossus out. He needs more Zealots at the front here.
Yeah.
The Colossus is everything. He's got enough Stalkers to get rid of the Vikings. He needs to protect the... Yeah, he's like cancelling these structures he doesn't need.
Yeah.
He just needs Zealots at the front here.
Oh, and the focus fire from the Stalkers is good on the Vikings, meaning it's going to be so hard to get to that Colossus at the back.
Second Colossus, so close. Another... He needs to Chronobus into the gateways. He needs more Zealots at the front. Needs to tank for these 2 Colossus. I don't even think the Mothership Core is a smart idea here. Just everything in the gateways.
Yeah. Just get out what you can
tank
here
for
as quickly as possible.
The second Colossus is going to be everything. These more Zealots.
All right, this Bio army going to work on these Stalkers, trying to kill off what they can. They actually get to the forwards to this, and they will actually kill off that first Colossus.
The second one's out, though.
Oh, he's bought enough time, I think. It's too hard for TaeJa to constantly reinforce at the front.
Yeah, and TaeJa throwing a lot into that. So, second Forge. Or first Forge, I think he cancelled both actually, didn't he? The Forge and Twilight cancelled before, so
yeah.
He cancelled both. But now he's got another Colossus on the way. He can slow down. The SCV count is lower. I mean, if you look at it, what's the SCV count to probes?
46 to 26.
26, yes. Oh,
yeah.
Awesome. Awesome for Zest. All right. So, coming out once again. He's going to take another fight here. But this isn't going to work out as well. Colossus. Wait, is there another one? Yeah.
Yeah. Second one out now.
That's enough.
Yeah, it's too much for him to deal with. This has, again, been a very, very odd game. Here come all the SCVs now. That is a lot of them. And he sees it. He sees everything. All he has to do is hold on. Even a Dark Shrine going down here for Zest for good measure during this. And there's not enough Vikings. There's, what, 4 Vikings? How many Stalkers? 6. Not that many.
Well, this is everything. This is it.
That's
all
quite
or nothing.
All right. Whoa, okay. He's actually pulling all the way back. Where's he going? That might be a bit of a mistake to actually leave this, as he's going to push forwards once again against this. Trying to go down all of this ramp against that bio is a very, very narrow choke to actually go down. The Colossi, though, doing a lot of damage. Natural ends up falling. Frogs have to evacuate out. He needs to keep those 2 Colossi alive.
What are the Colossus doing? They're in bad position here.
They all get focused down on by the bio. Whoa. Why were they so far forwards? The Stalkers... Oh, wow. TaeJa's actually going to recover this. He needs to keep that one last Colossus alive somehow. But there you go. GG. Wow. TaeJa. What? This second game was really, really bizarre.
Whoa. I don't understand why the Colossus are in bad position there. That was not so good for there from Zest.
He abandoned the natural very quickly, only having that 1 sentry with the army, I think. Did he only have 1 sentry? I think so.
Yeah.
So,
TaeJa's just gone super crazy right now. He's turned it up a couple of levels, especially considering he lost 0-2 to Jim yesterday.
I can't believe he held on against that first push. Considering... it's almost a blessing in disguise. I mean, we were talking about the fact that he was in the middle, very isolated, very far away. But the anticipation of Zest to try and counter that, the force fields when they were coming in were very patient, very calculated. Yeah. But even the positioning of the Colossi as they move away from the reinforcing Marauders from the barracks were able to take down one of the Colossi. And then the command center lifting up allowed the bio to get on top of the second one. That was really impressive play by TaeJa. What a great defense.
TaeJa's now just 1 game away from just killing Zest 3-0. It's not something I expected to see today. I thought this would go the other way. I was positive it would go the other way. But TaeJa is... I think TaeJa, the difference between the two right now is that TaeJa's playing normal and good. Well, TaeJa is good normally.
Yep.
And Zest he's getting nervous here. He's making mistakes. He's crumbled under a bit of pressure right now. I'm pretty sure he felt that he was going to do well against TaeJa too, but right now this is not going Zest's way.
Especially considering, as we said at the very beginning of this, Zest is one of the favorites, if not the favorite, to win the entire thing. And now he's 2 games down against arguably another favorite to win the entire thing here. This is a big match in the round of 8. It could decide a whole lot. And now Zest is on the ropes. He's got to be feeling it. There is no 2 ways about it. Those 2 losses there were not good for him at all. Not good.
Well, it looks like TaeJa may have just popped to the bathroom at the moment, so we are going to have a couple of minutes here. But it looks like Zest is definitely thinking what he's got to do to change. He's got to change things now. He's got a couple of minutes to think about that. And he needs to stop. He needs to stop this from happening, this 3-0.
All right, well, we're going to go to a short break, guys. And then when we're back, we're going to go to Game 3 here at the Intel Extreme Masters Shenzhen. Alright guys, welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Shenzhen round of 8, as we are currently in the first best of 5 of the day. TaeJa versus Zest, and TaeJa currently leads 2-0.
Yeah, and an interesting turn of decisions, really, if you think about it. That last game was unbelievably weird.
Yeah,
crazy. It didn't really make very much sense. It was really back and forth, really crazy. And now all of a sudden we have TaeJa, who pretty much has won every single international tournament there's been outside of Korea, but an IEM, is now in desperate search of finding that trophy here at the Intel Extreme Masters. And he's going up against the tournament favorite, and he's leading 2-0.
Yeah.
Nobody really a lot of you may have expected TaeJa to win, but to go up 2-0 pretty convincingly.
Yeah. If he 3-0s this, then my mind's blown. Absolutely. Like, I don't know how that is possible against someone like Zest. But anyway, let's get into it. Deadwing is our third map. Spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner, we have our red Protoss. On the ropes at the moment, it is KT Roasters Zest. And down to the bottom left-hand corner, doing so well here in the round of 8. Representing Team Liquid, it's TaeJa.
All right. So, Deadwing, huge map, but more importantly, interesting positions that these are both are in.
Yes, very.
Down here towards the lower side here, you'll never see the center bases taken in the third center bases, just because obviously a little bit too close to comfort.
Hi guys, yeah, very close.
So we'll see the players expanding towards the left-hand side here, but the natural's really close together here. Really close.
Can a Colossus reach from one side of that to the other?
And if
can it?
It walks down that cliff.
Oh yeah, it does, doesn't
and then it can, yeah.
What a terrifying prospect.
Yeah, and TaeJa's opening up gas first here. He's looking to finish this one out. We've seen TaeJa use gas first a lot this weekend. And he's going to do it again. He used this twice versus Jim. It wasn't successful there.
No.
As Jim pretty much played... He wasn't greedy, I think is the best way to describe it, and was able to defend and find himself in a leading position both times. We'll see what Zest does. Is Zest even going to scout? Oh, he is going to scout early too, so he's going to see this gas first really early. And this is actually pretty good, a good start for Zest to identify this is happening, because he can start to react a little bit better towards this, and hopefully be prepared for when the Widowmine Marines and so on and Medivac come over here.
Yeah, it's a nice start, at least, to be able to get a little bit of information, that's for sure. And Zest needs all the information he can get, considering he is now 2 games down. Again, if TaeJa is able to take that 3-0...
Oh, it's unbelievable if he does that.
Totally ridiculous. And, well, so far he's on track for it. He is on track. If we see another macro game come out, similar to game number 1, Zest, I think, has to vary up his composition a little bit and then be taking fights in a more kind of concave, slight area. Because full Colossus mode, I don't think it's going to work out.
Yeah, and this kind of map as well. In the middle here, Vikings are very strong because of the way that the structures are and stuff.
Yeah.
It's open area. You've got the structures here that can really mess with the way that the Colossus are going to get hit by the Vikings. So we'll see how Zest messes around with this, but he's going to go Nexus first here. One thing that, in terms of scouting, is that Zest did get early information on what his opponent's doing, and TaeJa hasn't. So TaeJa's got no idea what's coming his way. And I think he's going to scrap cross position here. I think he noticed how fast that probe was scouted, so he knows it's less likely to come from a cross position.
Yeah, it will make sense.
But Zest has got a pylon on the other side of the map here. And what this usually could tell us is that, actually, look at TaeJa's build more importantly. He's kind of gone for this this gas first to factory, but he's got a pretty fast command center too in this. It hasn't gone up towards starport. He's taken out a gas quite early, so he's switched up from what Zest could imagine. But usually when a Protoss sees his opponent going gas first, he says to himself, all right, cool. If I defend against what's coming, there is a potential that I could counterattack before he has the necessary upgrades as stim and combat shields and stuff. And with TaeJa getting even less information now, that Mothership Core did push it back, and Stalker.
Yeah. Good push away, especially. I mean, oh, and even gets the kill. That's nice.
Yeah, 2 Hellions are going to have to be the scouting information here. TaeJa's just aborted his plans.
Where are they going?
Well, it's going to be 4 Hellions now.
Where are they going? Checking the watchtower, I guess, just to see if anything was going on.
2 extra gateways.
All right.
Zest is going to look to have enough units to clear up a potential Widowmine or something. Yeah, he's going to counterattack from this.
Right.
He needs to be careful, though. Of course, these Hellions can kill probes and slow him down. Definitely still going to counterattack, though. He's got that probe. He'll build a pylon over there very, very shortly, you'd imagine.
And that was good movement by Zest on the Stalkers as well. They were, you know, moved out just a little bit, and then there was always the potential for them to block as they are doing now, just to make sure that those Hellions don't get in, don't get the information that they so want.
Yeah.
And here comes the pylon. Uh-oh.
And it's, what is it, 4 Hellions and, like, no Marines, pretty much? A couple of Marines, maybe?
Very, very little.
Second barracks coming in.
3 Marines.
Yeah, so opportunities here. Mothership Core, I suppose, might stay at home for a photon overcharge in case the counterattack's there or something. I'm not sure, but
I think you've certainly got to account for it, right? I mean, those Hellions, he sees how many there are. He sees that there is indeed a threat.
Yeah.
Photon overcharge pushes those back, so now the defensive potential later on, if he goes for the push, actually isn't as much.
But these 3 Stalkers, man. It's going to start. Is he going to work on the rocks? Can TaeJa see the rocks? Okay, he can when units walk down.
Yeah. So, but they're going to position themselves in the bunker and be out of range of the rocks, I think.
Yeah, you can only see it when the Marines come down the ramp.
Yeah. So that's a bit annoying. The Hellions are actually going to dart back for a defensive position. Oh, God, they're so close to
3
actually
more
being able
Stalkers.
to spot things.
That's 6 Stalkers on the other side of the map now.
It's a lot of firepower. He's not going to see this. He's actually not going to see this. He needs units to be walking down, basically. If the rocks are going to be the issue, he needs units to be walking down, as you mentioned.
He's going to wait for another round.
Wait, I think that SCV on the left-hand side of that bunker, on the rocks. I think
still doesn't see. Oh, no, he does, actually. He does see.
With the, but now he doesn't with those loaded in.
Yeah, but with the amount of units he has, he's going to destroy this really fast. TaeJa.
Oh, he sees.
He can hear, he can see.
Yep.
And now he's got to prepare. Another bunker being built immediately, and Zest has got a lot of units over there. He should be bringing the ones from home as well, because he knows that TaeJa's going to have everything here to defend. If TaeJa defends this, Stim's on the way.
Yeah.
+1's on the way.
A lot's on the way.
A lot is on the way. If he defends this, he's in brilliant shape. If he doesn't, then I think we all know which way this is going to go.
All right, that's a lot of Stalkers. How well is this going to work out? One of the bunkers is not done. The other one not really being used. It's not in a great position. SCV starts to die off. He's actually focusing down a Marauder at the front there to bring down a little bit of the DPS being dished out to these Stalkers. The bunker finishes. That's a really good start for him.
Observer's got a vision of the high ground here, so he shoots units coming down the ramp.
That's a nice... Oh, and he's just out of range of the bunker as well. How annoying is that?
Yeah.
Okay. He's going to try and keep poking forwards. Starting to work on some of those units. He's actually going to walk straight up the ramp here, negating a little bit of this bunker. He's taking a bit of damage whilst he tries to do all of this.
We may see SCVs come for this round. I thought this would happen.
All right, this is going to be a good way to actually shut this down. If those Stalkers get shut down, there's no blink here for them or anything like that. It's basically Stalkers trying to do as much as they can. They are going to die from this point on. There is no retreat path out of here.
And they will die now. There's enough units there. The Hellions doing damage. More Stalkers get committed into this. They're going to shoot from the low ground. Now they've lost that high ground vision. TaeJa has lost 16 workers. Mothership turns up late for the party, but still there's more than enough units to break this natural.
With extra probes being made at the back, is this enough
Stim
damage?
done, +1 attack done. Medivac's on the way, remember?
Yeah.
Crucial things for the defense here for TaeJa.
Yeah, whilst Zest behind this, what does he really have? What tech does he have, right? But aside from that, there isn't a whole lot. He's just adding on his gases now. He's actually doing a good chunk of damage here at the natural, though. Gotta commend him for this. He's getting as much out of it as possible.
It's gonna burn.
Oh, and it's gonna be hard to repair.
It's gonna burn.
He needs to, like, throw down a mule or something out of range and then start repairing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good. Not good at all here for TaeJa.
TaeJa, though, he's got quality with his units, but is the quality going to match the numbers?
Yeah.
He's got to micro everything here.
4 more gateways being added on. The Zealots will be disintegrated very quickly.
Great micro so far by TaeJa.
Medivac's healing this force up, keeping them alive. Good focus fire, though, by Zest to try and get as much out of these Stalkers as possible. Once again, bring down Marauders. Only Zealots left to try and catch that. Won't really do a whole lot.
Doesn't want to lose units to Zealots there, and he doesn't, so he will pick off every single unit there. The command center is, if that dies...
He didn't drop a mule for it.
If that dies, SCV's coming. He can't let that die.
30 health. Repair.
Oh, he's going to get it. And he repairs. Last minute there.
Clutch.
Last minute.
All right.
Oh, Mothership Core.
Oh, he needs to...
You biatch.
Get out of here.
Oh, he could pick up and drop. Pick up and drop.
Get him. Get him. Get him. Oh, he's going to be safe.
He's going to drop now. No photon overcharge on that natural. What do we have there? 3 Zealots, that's it. 3 Zealots?
No. Uh-oh, he needs to warp in a lot
3
more.
Stalkers. 3 Stalkers aren't going to do this. TaeJa.
A few extra gateways powering up here quickly to try and deal with this, but that's a lot of damage being dished out. He doesn't have the damage.
Mothership core, no fault in overcharge. He was on his way back.
Uh-oh, he's losing a lot of probes here. TaeJa, I can't believe he's able to do this. If that Immortal actually dies as well, oh my god.
He's looking at a 3-0. He's looking at that 3-0.
Wow, I can't believe this. There's only 2 Stalkers actually left here. Zest losing these.
Oh, more units coming in.
Wow.
Zest has been bested here.
I can't believe it. Despite all the pressure that Zest was actually putting on, TaeJa has been able to rally on against that.
Look at this micro dancing around. A Widowmine comes in.
I can't believe it. I actually cannot believe it. There are 2 Stalkers left. The Mothership Core was added on, but it's not got enough energy to be able to really deal against this.
Oh, there it's gone.
Oh, dear me. This is absolutely fantastic by TaeJa. GG 3-0. Wow. He eliminates a GSL champion.
And he is happy. Look at that smile.
And the doubters have been put to rest. What on earth? If you thought TaeJa couldn't hang with the best of them from Korea, you have been severely proven wrong, my friend.
And I guess this is the moment where next time Zest is going to win. He didn't play well, but I promise you Zest will win next time. But TaeJa 3-0 against Zest. Zest definitely was the favorite for this tournament. Now eliminated in the quarterfinals by a Terran, by TaeJa.
What? Who stops TaeJa? Who stops TaeJa?
Well, it's either going to be Jaedong or Snoot or someone from the low bracket, Clarice, if we be logical here.
Good luck.
But TaeJa finds himself in the semi-final now. What a great performance from him. Zest came into today feeling good, played a great game 1, was looking good in game 1, and then all of a sudden, downhill instantly.
Wow. What a round of 8 bracket, and then going on to the round of 4 now, we also guarantee ourselves TaeJa versus either Snoot or Jaedong. I mean...
Yeah. And of course can continue on to fight for his potential first Intel Extreme Masters Championship. And now that Zest is out the way, does TaeJa now become the tournament favorite? A great performance from him there, and he gets a round of applause from the Chinese audience here. Brilliant performance from TaeJa.
Very, very well done. Very impressive stuff. Really, really good play. And now, guys, we're going to head over to Paul to find out what they think of that game.
Thanks very much. Yes, back here on the couch with Kevin. Extraordinary win, really. When we talked about the game beforehand, we said TaeJa struggles versus Protoss. 3-0. On paper, people will look back at that and think, what were they talking about? He obviously doesn't struggle against Protoss, but that's not the whole story here, because, and I don't want to take anything away from TaeJa, he's one of our Terran brothers, so we have to kind of support him, but I get the feeling that that wasn't the real Zest that we just saw.
The pro gamer in me is battling the entertainer, and it's just watching those games. Zest was he had some really good decisions, he had some really good builds, but in the end, he was just not keeping up with the moment-by-moment changes in the game.
Yeah.
As the game was evolving, TaeJa was adapting to what was going on so much more precisely than Zest, and that's really what led to... It was like no matter how badly TaeJa's position got, Zest was always just a little bit behind as it got further and further along, and that was what TaeJa needed to bring it back.
I mean, map 2 and map 3 had some similarities in the way that the builds evolved, if you like. Second map, it looked like, you know, TaeJa went on the offensive early, and you were like, oh, are they just dead Marines? Is he just figuring things out? He sees the Colossus, he almost takes it.
Right.
And then Zest hits him on the counter, which you expect to happen, and he did it in such a way that actually TaeJa had no idea it was coming. I know, I was quite baffled by that, and yet somehow still managed to hold. Now, you can either say that's a great hold, or you can say that's not maybe the best attack that Zest could have done. I mean, he was warping Zealots in it all the time at the back, and it looked okay, but why did that not work?
So I would say that the attack itself was actually correct, like theoretically. The part where Zest started to fall apart was overcommitting a little bit too much to the attack. He went really deep into TaeJa's natural, and that opened up opportunities for the flank from TaeJa. And without sufficient energy on his sentries, he wasn't able to box out. He needed to basically put enough force fields that one half of TaeJa's army couldn't get to him. And then after losing that engagement, He brought his mothership core in. He kept warping in units. He kept rallying to that fight. It was like, no, Zest, like, the battle is done. Like, it's time to go home and consolidate the position. And he could have done that. He killed so many SCVs. He delayed so much of TaeJa's ability to transition. But he just decided, he just kept trying to push the issue.
Do you put that down to Zest in terms of having a little bit of an experience in terms of tournaments outside of Korea are very different. We know that. It's very early for one. I don't know if he's used to being up this early in the morning playing StarCraft. Do you put it down to TaeJa's experience of that kind of scenario? What is it?
So I think probably the biggest thing, when you're talking about a player's decision-making, some players just have better decision-making because they're better players. That's one of the big hallmarks is some players know what to do, the strategy and things like that. When you're talking about someone like Zest, who has won multiple GSLs and not that long ago, this is not a player who's kind of fallen out of favor. He is still hot. He is still on top of things. And then you watch these games and you're like, the decision-making here is not, this does not seem right.
It did seem like he was a different player.
Yeah, and that's mostly just, how is Zest approaching traveling to an international tournament? He doesn't really have a lot of experience doing that. TaeJa is like a champion. He's a veteran. He's traveled to more events than probably almost anyone else in the StarCraft community. And I would guess, you can't really say exactly what it was, but maybe Zest didn't really, either the food here doesn't agree with him, or he's not sleeping right.
But take nothing away from TaeJa. That was
TaeJa played great,
fantastic all the way through every game.
The biggest hallmark of what made TaeJa's play so superb was no matter how behind he got, he was always making the best decisions he could. It was like, if you think of the graph of the game, kind of the swaying of the tides, there would be points where TaeJa would have high points and Zest would have high points, but TaeJa would always be consistently higher than Zest. And that's what really carried him through.
We're going to catch up with the winner in a few moments' time, but just quickly, Snoot versus Jaedong. Right, that's coming up next. We're going to preview that in a little while, but one of those now plays TaeJa. I mean, that's okay for TaeJa, right? He won't mind that.
I think TaeJa's pretty happy with that. I know, even with this 3-0, I wouldn't be surprised if the next time I see TaeJa, he still says Protoss OP, Protoss Imba, because that's what he says every time I talk to him. He's got to be pleased to be playing a Zerg coming up. And Snoot versus Jaedong, as a Terran player, not really a Zerg expert, I don't know too much about that. I don't know how that's going to play out, but I do know it's going to be a great series.
It absolutely is. Thank you very much, Kevin, for now. Very, very quick break, and then when we come back, we'll have Susie here on the couch, who will be with our winner, TaeJa. And as I said, a very quick break indeed. It was just a musical break, which is even better for you because there were no commercials there. We are now back with our winner, TaeJa. Hi.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good.
Good. Okay, so we've got Susie here as well. I guess we just get straight into this. I mean, 3-0. How?
Did you expect you were going to get a 3-0?
No.
No.
I expect I lost 3-0.
Really?
What, that bad? Is that
because
Protoss?
Yes.
Protoss. Not because it's Zest. Is it because it's Zest or is it because it was Protoss?
Because just both.
Both of them?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
bad.
when you heard that you were going to play Zest, what was your initial thought?
GG.
Give up already.
Wow. All right. Well, have you played him before?
No, first time.
This is the first time.
Yeah.
So what's some rumors that you heard about Zest?
I don't know.
전에 들었던 것들, 제스 선수에 대해서.
GSL champion
Okay, GSL champion.
Yep.
That's it?
and PvP king.
All right.
That's all you need to know. He's rubbish against Terran.
테렌 상대로는 잘 못한다고. 그런 것 같다고. Okay. I had a question about the map on merry-go-round. So, why did you pull your SCVs from that game? Like, why? Yeah, why did you pull them instead of trying to harass?
I thought I almost lose. My brother said to me, when you think lose, just pull or SCB and attack.
And then is that the key to winning? So if you're a
Yeah.
Terran player, you think you're gonna lose, you put all your SCVs out.
I
And
do it all the time.
is that what we?
Yeah, I do it all the time, but I lose mostly.
Oh man, you
Yeah.
gotta be TaeJa and be
Yeah.
able to pull out SCVs. That's
Yeah.
basically what it is. TaeJa, so you beat out. So getting into this group, you beat MMA 2-0, right? And then you've got the stats. He
Yeah.
also, but then he lost to Jim.
Yeah.
Jim's that's the first time you played Jim.
No.
Maybe.
Not the first time.
No, not the first time.
You've beaten him before.
Okay.
But yeah.
And then you won versus Life 2-1, right? Now here you are placed against Zest. This guy, he thought he was going to GG out, but you won 3-0. What makes you so good at these international tournaments?
Money.
I don't know. Maybe I like travel. Maybe.
You like traveling?
Yeah.
Do you ever
World.
want to... World traveling. So do you ever want to play in Korea then?
No.
No?
Why?
Korea is so hard. And
But it's
long.
easy now for you. You just beat Zest, GSL champion.
I know, you beat the best Protoss player
Korea
in
now,
Korea.
No.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Just lucky.
Yeah, whatever. You might need to translate this because this might be a little long one.
Okay.
I'm interested because the community says TaeJa, very good player, but no good in Korea. Does that matter to you?
Maybe.
그런
Yeah?
거
네.
생각해 본 적 있어?
Do you feel like
Yeah.
unless you win a GSL,
Same in netizen. 뭐라 하죠?
Korean fans also say that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
They say,
Yeah.
그러면 그런 거 들을 때 마음이 어때? 본인도 그렇게 생각을 하나?
네, 저도 그렇게 생각하고 뭐 그래도 둘 중에 하나라도 잘하는 게 어디예요? 네.
He's like, I have to agree with them, but if I'm gonna between the two, being good in Korea, or at least I'm good in one of them,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
good enough.
I'm interested though, with all of the titles that you've now won, you're the most successful StarCraft 2 player in history in terms of tournament wins, okay? But does that mean anything unless you win a GSL? Do you feel like you have to win a GSL as well to make everything complete?
지금까지 우승한 게 엄청 많고 돈도 엄청
네.
많이 따고 했는데 GS를 이겨야지만 나는 완벽하다. 내가 스타크래프트 하면서 완벽하려면은
I mean,
GSL까지 이겨야 된다고
I'm just going to add
생각하는지.
to the end of that. For people to think of you in the same way they do as Flash or Jaedong or
제동이나
MC, do you
영어
have to win a
같은
GSL?
그 급으로 생각하려면은
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
BlizzCon.
You need to win BlizzCon, right? Yeah.
BlizzCon.
Okay. And that's going to be easy, right?
No.
I thought you say yes now. Mr. TaeJa is positive.
It's so easy.
Okay,
Easy
yeah.
peasy.
easy
All right,
peasy.
easy peasy. Yeah,
All
that's a
right.
very big one. Okay, we're going to leave it there unless you've got any other questions.
No, I
if you
think I'm
wanna-
good. And
Okay.
best of luck to you. Now we're going to find out who he plays against next in just a little bit.
Jaedong or Snoop, but it's a Zerg, so
I don't care.
yeah, I was going to say it
But-
won't matter.
I want to play with Snoot.
You want to play with
because-
Snoop?
Teammate.
Yeah, Liquid team kill.
Yeah.
So you want to kill your teammate.
Maybe.
Maybe, okay, all right. Well, we're going to find out who he plays in a few minutes' time because our second quarterfinal is not long for this Intel Extreme Masters to show up. We'll be back after a short break with Snoot versus Jaedong. You won't want to miss this one, Europe.